While millions of people are screaming at their TVs, throwing things, celebrating like they personally won, or feeling completely crushed because a team of strangers lost, there's a huge group of people sitting quietly thinking, why does any of this matter? No excitement. No emotional roller coaster. Just nothing. And according to neuroscience, that reaction, or lack of it, isn't random. Your brain might literally be wired differently. Stay with me because what you're about to hear might completely change how you see sports fans and yourself. Here's the part nobody talks about. Not caring about sports doesn't mean you're boring. It doesn't mean you lack passion. And it definitely doesn't mean something is wrong with you. But it does mean your brain processes competition, identity, and reward in a very different way. Let me show you how. Imagine a guy named Daniel. He's at a Super Bowl party in Chicago. The room is electric. People shouting, arguing, jumping up every few seconds. The tension is so thick you can feel it. And Daniel? He's in the corner, calmly sipping a drink, more interested in a conversation about business ideas than the game playing right in front of him. At one point, someone turns to him and says, "Dude, how are you not into this?" He smiles and shrugs. "I just don't feel it." And that right there is the key. Because for most people, sports aren't just games, they're neurological experiences. Research from the University of Chicago shows that when fans watch their favorite team, their brain releases dopamine, the same chemical involved in anticipation, reward, and even addictive behaviors. Every pass, every near miss, every unpredictable moment triggers a small dopamine spike. It's not just entertainment. It's a chemical loop. And here's where it gets intense. A study published in the journal Neuron using fMRI brain scans found that watching preferred teams activates the brain's reward centers in ways similar to gambling. Think about that. For some people, watching sports isn't just fun. It's neurologically stimulating in a way that keeps them coming back again and again. But because of something called intermittent reinforcement. It's one of the most powerful psychological mechanisms ever discovered. First studied by behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner, it explains why unpredictable rewards are more addictive than predictable ones. You don't know if your team will win. You don't know when the big moment will happen. So your brain stays locked in, chasing that next emotional payoff. It's the same system that makes slot machines so hard to walk away from. Now here's the twist. People who don't care about sports? That loop doesn't activate the same way. Their brains don't assign strong reward value to vicarious competition. So while others are riding emotional highs and lows, they're just watching pixels move on a screen. Now let's go deeper, because this isn't just about dopamine. It's about identity. Humans are tribal by nature. For thousands of years, survival depended on belonging to a group. And according to research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, modern group affiliations, like sports teams, still trigger that same sense of belonging. When fans say, "We won," their brain actually processes it as a shared identity. It's not logical. It's biological. This is known as basking in reflected glory, or burgeoning, a well-documented psychological effect where people boost their self-esteem by associating with successful groups. But here's what's fascinating. A 2019 behavioral study found that people with low interest in sports show significantly less us versus them thinking. Translation? They don't tie their identity to group victories or losses. They don't feel like they need a team to feel complete. Instead, their identity tends to come from internal sources, skills, ideas, personal achievements. And that changes how they experience the world. Now let's talk about emotion, because this is where things get misunderstood. Sports fans often feel intense empathy toward players and teams. But here's the catch. Those are parasocial relationships. One-sided emotional connections with people who don't know you exist. Researchers have studied this for years, showing that fans genuinely experience joy, stress, and even grief based on team performance. But people who don't care about sports? They usually direct their emotional energy differently. A 2021 personality study found that individuals low in sports interest scored higher in openness to experience, a trait linked to creativity, curiosity, and appreciation for art and ideas. So instead of investing emotion into games, they invest it into things that feel more personal. Music, writing, learning, building something of their own. Same emotional capacity, different direction. And here's something most people won't admit. Sometimes, not caring about sports has a backstory. Maybe you felt excluded growing up. Maybe you never connected with competitive environments. Maybe you questioned why adults get so emotionally invested in something that doesn't actually change their lives. Or maybe you just found it boring. And that's completely valid. Because at the core of this difference is one simple question. Where do you find meaning? Sports fans often find meaning in unpredictable narratives, comebacks, rivalries, last-second wins. It's real-time storytelling. But if you don't care about sports, you might see that same situation and think, why would I emotionally invest in something I can't control? And that perspective? It's not wrong. It's just different. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, known for his work on flow states, found that people reach deep fulfillment through complete immersion in activities. For some, that's watching sports. For others, it's creating, solving, exploring. And here's the powerful part. People who don't obsess over sports often spend less time as spectators and more time as participants in their own lives. They're not just watching stories unfold. They're building their own. Now, this isn't about saying one side is better. Sports create community, excitement, shared memories. But they're not the only path to connection or meaning. And understanding that matters. Because if you've ever felt out of place for not caring about sports, you're not missing something. You're just wired differently. Your brain seeks purpose, excitement, and fulfillment in its own way. And that might actually be your biggest advantage. So the next time someone asks, "Did you watch the game?" and you genuinely don't care, just remember, you're not disconnected. You're just playing a different game. And it might be one that matters more to you. If this made you see things differently, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Because we're breaking down the psychology behind everyday behaviors and helping you understand what's really going on inside your mind. And trust me, this is just the beginning.